Okay, so, you sent us some really, really interesting stuff about you and money, and it really seems like you're ready to kind of, take control. So,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's really what we want to kind of get into today, right? We're going to really explore um, these, beliefs you have that are kind of, running the show when it comes to your money decisions.
mm,
We call these things money scripts. And really what we want to do is understand how these things work
yeah.
and how you can kind of tweak them so you can have a, more secure and fulfilling financial future.
Yeah, and you share this great resource with us that really gets into, what these money scripts are all about. And what we want to do is not just, give you the same old financial advice you've heard a million times, but really get into some, cool stuff, some surprising stuff, and give you some real concrete steps to actually change things up with your finances.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so let's get into this idea of money scripts.
Okay.
What are they really, like at their core?
Well, at their heart, money scripts are these, deep-seated beliefs about money
Mm-hmm.
that have kind of, developed over time.
Right.
And they're often, they're operating below the surface,
Right.
of our conscious awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And they're shaped by our earliest experiences,
Mm-hmm.
what we absorb from our families and, the broader cultural narratives that we've encountered.
Right.
So it's really fascinating how much these unconscious beliefs really shape our financial choices
Mm-hmm.
in ways that we don't even realize.
So it's not just knowing logically that like, oh, I should be saving for retirement.
Right.
It's about like the deeper reasons why you're, spending money now instead.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. These scripts can dictate everything from our daily spending habits
Mm.
to, our long-term investment decisions. They can even, influence how we feel about debt, our comfort level with risk, and even our ability to, receive abundance.
Wow.
But, the really empowering part of this is that, as your material points out, these scripts aren't set in stone.
Yeah.
By bringing them into the light, we can actually begin to rewrite our financial story.
Okay, so that sounds like a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
But how do we even begin to identify these really deep-seated scripts? I mean, they're not just sitting there right in front of us.
Right. Yeah. No, they're not. And that's why the initial step, and it is a crucial step, is dedicated self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
As your material wisely highlights, it really involves asking yourself some really specific and pointed questions
Right.
to start coaxing those unconscious beliefs into conscious awareness.
Right. And the text gives us some really good starting points.
Absolutely.
Asking about our earliest memories involving money,
Right.
how our families discussed and managed money,
Hmm.
and the emotions that come up when we think about, spending, saving, or investing,
Right.
all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
those questions act as triggers to, unlock those foundational experiences. Try to remember those early moments.
Hmm.
Was money, a source of anxiety in your household? Was it freely discussed or was it a taboo subject?
Yeah.
What messages did you receive about wealth and debt and financial responsibility?
Hmm.
These early impressions often serve as the blueprints for our adult money scripts.
Right.
And it's worth noting that, sometimes a seemingly insignificant or small incident in childhood can have a really profound impact on our financial beliefs in adulthood.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so the text also recommends journaling as a method for this self-exploration.
Right.
Right.
So what's the benefit of actually like writing all this stuff down?
Well, journaling provides a safe and private space for you to delve into your thoughts and feelings without the pressure of judgment.
Right.
As you write, you might start noticing these recurring patterns or emotional responses linked to specific financial situations.
Right.
The text refers to these as recurring themes. So, perhaps you consistently felt a pang of guilt after spending money on yourself, or maybe you saw a pattern in your family of using money to express love or control.
Yeah.
These emerging patterns offer really valuable clues to the underlying scripts that are at play.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the text, goes on to introduce these four common themes.
Wow.
These money script themes: money avoidance, money worship, money status, and money vigilance.
Yes.
Can you just give us like a, quick overview of what those four are?
Sure, yeah. So money avoidance often shows up as discomfort or even disdain for money.
Okay.
Individuals with this script might believe that money is inherently bad or that wealthy people are morally corrupt.
It's interesting.
This can lead to behaviors like, under-earning, avoiding financial planning, or even, subconsciously sabotaging financial success.
Right.
On the other hand, we have money worship. This is the belief that money is like the solution to all of life's problems and, the key to happiness. This can lead to a relentless pursuit of wealth, often at the expense of other values,
Okay.
and it can also lead to dissatisfaction, even when financial goals are achieved.
Wow.
Then we have money status.
Okay.
And this is characterized by, linking your self-worth directly to your net worth
Right.
or the value of your possessions.
Okay.
This can fuel the need for conspicuous consumption and a constant comparison to others' financial situations.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. And finally, we have money vigilance.
Okay.
And this is marked by like a pervasive anxiety about financial security.
Right.
So while this can encourage, saving and frugality, it can also become excessive, leading to constant worry and an inability to enjoy the present moment, even when you're financially stable.
Okay.
What's interesting is that, sometimes these scripts can conflict with each other, creating this kind of internal tension around your financial decisions.
Right, right. So you might be, feeling one way, but then behaving another way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
The text also mentions the Klontz money script inventory, or KMSI.
Yeah.
Is that something that you think could be helpful for the listener if they want to go a little deeper with all this?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, the KMSI is a much more structured, research-backed questionnaire that's designed to give a really comprehensive assessment of an individual's money scripts.
Okay.
So if someone's finding that initial self-reflection challenging, or, if they want a more in-depth understanding of the scripts that are really influencing them the most, the KMSI can be a really, really valuable tool.
Okay.
Yeah, it can offer a much more nuanced profile of their financial beliefs and then provide a starting point for, more focused change.
Okay, so once we've done all this self-reflection
Yeah.
and maybe even identified some of these dominant money scripts, what's the next step?
Right.
Because, just knowing about them doesn't automatically mean that we're going to change, right?
That's right.
Yeah, awareness is a critical first step. It's like, recognizing a faulty line of code in a program.
Right.
But the real power comes from, actively challenging those scripts,
Yeah.
especially the ones that seem to be holding you back from progress.
Right.
And these are what we often call limiting beliefs. And the material you shared offers some really great strategies for this stage.
Right.
Yeah.
Like questioning their validity. How do we actually go about doing that?
Well, it involves critically examining the belief itself.
Okay.
Let's look at an example from the text. Money is the root of all evil.
Okay.
Ask yourself honestly, is this really true in every situation? Can you think of examples where money has been used for good, like funding charitable work or supporting families?
Right.
Often these limiting beliefs are passed down, through generations, or they're based on very specific isolated incidents rather than broad objective reality.
Right.
So a really key question to ask yourself is this belief really serving me? Is it helping me achieve my financial goals?
Right.
And then the text talks about actively seeking out counterexamples.
Yes.
Which makes sense to me.
Absolutely.
If someone believes that all rich people are greedy, just looking for stories about philanthropy or, ethical businesses could really shift their perspective.
Exactly. Yeah. It's about actively disrupting that ingrained generalization by finding evidence that contradicts that belief.
Right.
It helps to create a more balanced understanding.
Right.
You're essentially retraining your brain
Right.
to recognize a different narrative.
And then the final method mentioned is reframing the narrative.
Yes.
Which I think is super interesting.
It is, yeah.
It's really about changing how we talk to ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the example given is shifting from, I don't deserve to have money to something like, I deserve financial security.
Right.
So how much of a difference can that kind of change in our language really make?
It can make a huge difference. Our thoughts really do influence our emotions and ultimately our actions. Yeah, by choosing more positive and empowering language, we start to rewire our subconscious associations with money. We're replacing this narrative of scarcity and fear with one of abundance and capability. This isn't just about positive thinking. It's about building this whole new internal framework that supports your financial well-being.
Okay, so we've talked about, understanding our money scripts,
Yeah.
challenging them. What's next?
Well, the next really crucial step is to align your evolving money script with your own personal values.
Okay.
The text emphasizes how important it is to define what financial success really means to you.
Okay.
It shouldn't be about, chasing those external markers of success or keeping up with what society expects.
Right. Because for some people, success might be, freedom to pursue their passions.
Right.
For other people, it might be, being able to support their family or giving back to their
So
community.
exactly. Once you figure out what your core values are, you can cultivate money scripts that support those values.
Right.
Money becomes this tool that helps you get what really matters to you.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? How do we align our money scripts with our values? The text mentions setting realistic financial goals.
Yes, and it's important that those goals are directly linked to your values.
Okay.
So, for example, if personal freedom and travel are important to you, set a savings goal for a future trip. That way your financial actions are tied to what you care about.
Right.
This gives your financial planning a much deeper sense of purpose and motivation. It's not just about numbers in an account anymore.
It's about the experience.
Exactly.
Okay.
The text also talks about visualizing your desired future.
Okay.
This could be really powerful.
Right.
By imagining the life you want and seeing how managing your money well will get you there, you create a strong emotional connection to your goals. It makes them feel more real and achievable.
Right.
And then there's the idea of positive affirmations,
Okay.
which is similar to reframing, but it's more about actively shaping our future beliefs.
Okay, so these are like these positive statements that we repeat to ourselves.
Exactly. And you repeat them regularly to reinforce your desired perspective. The text has some great examples like, money is a tool that empowers me to live in alignment with my values, or I am in control of my finances and my money works for my well-being.
Right.
Consistently repeating these affirmations can help to break down those old limiting beliefs and strengthen your new money script.
It's like planting seeds in your mind.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about understanding our money scripts, challenging them, aligning them with our values.
Yeah.
But like we said before, just knowing all this isn't enough, right?
Right. We have to take action.
We need to put it into practice.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and this is where we move from understanding and intention to consistent action.
Okay.
The material emphasizes that rewriting your money script means putting those new beliefs into action.
Okay, so what's the first practical step?
Well, the text suggests establishing regular money dates.
Money dates, I like that.
Yeah, it sounds a lot better than, just dealing with your finances, right?
Right.
It's about setting aside dedicated time each week or every other week to really look at your finances. This includes your income, spending, savings, and progress towards your goals. The key is to approach it positively and constructively, without any guilt or judgment. It's a chance to connect with your money mindfully.
Right, so it's like scheduling a check-in with your finances.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's the next step?
The next one is automating savings and investments,
Yes.
which is something we hear a lot, but how does that tie into this whole money script thing?
Well, by automating those transfers, you're essentially putting your new intentions into action without having to rely on willpower.
Right.
It takes away the temptation to spend impulsively and reinforces the belief that saving and investing are important priorities.
Right.
It's like a concrete demonstration to yourself that you're committed to your financial future.
Okay, I get it.
It shifts the focus from reacting to being proactive.
The text also talks about seeking accountability.
Yeah.
So in terms of money scripts, who would be a good accountability partner? Could be a trusted friend or family member who has similar goals.
Okay.
Or maybe a mentor who's been successful with their finances. Or even a financial therapist or advisor.
Right.
The key is finding someone who can support you, give you feedback, and help you stay on track.
Right. Especially when you're tempted to fall back into old habits.
Exactly. Sharing your goals and progress creates this external motivation.
Yeah.
And can really increase your chances of success.
And then finally, there's monitoring your progress and celebrating the small wins.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tracking your spending and savings shows you the positive changes you're making.
Right.
And celebrating those milestones, whether it's sticking to your budget or hitting a savings target, reinforces the positive behaviors and keep you motivated.
It shows you that your new money script is working.
Exactly.
Okay, so it seems like rewriting our money scripts is really a journey.
It is, yeah.
It's not a quick fix.
No, it's not.
And the text even talks about embracing flexibility and patience.
Yeah.
Why are those qualities so important?
Well, because you're basically trying to change really deeply ingrained patterns of thinking and behaving.
Right.
These patterns have probably been with you for years.
Right.
There will be setbacks, moments of doubt, and times when you slip back into old habits.
Okay.
It's crucial to be kind to yourself and be patient.
Mm-hmm.
View these moments as learning opportunities, not failures.
Right.
They show you how strong your old scripts are and where you need to focus your efforts.
I like the analogy the text uses that every positive financial action is like a vote for the person you want to become.
Yeah, it's a great analogy.
It takes the pressure off and shows us that it's about the long game.
Exactly. It's about actively building a new financial identity, one choice at a time.
Yeah.
Every time you make a decision that aligns with your new money script, you're reinforcing that identity and moving closer to the future you want.
So this has been a really, really helpful deep dive into money scripts
Yeah.
and, more importantly, how we can actually control them.
Right.
So just to recap, we need to first identify those unconscious beliefs, then challenge the ones that are holding us back,
Right.
align our actions with our values,
Yeah.
and take consistent action to build new habits.
Exactly.
And all while being patient and flexible.
Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
about moving from being controlled by outdated programming to actively creating your own financial story.
This has been so insightful. Now, for you, our listener, as you continue to think about your own relationship with money, think about one small financial habit you could change this week that reflects the kind of money story you really want to write for yourself. What would that be?